Hello everyone, my name is Cuma Aydoğdu. Today I will talk about phonology, phonotactic, and suprasegmental. This chapter covers various aspects of phonological in English language. It begins with an exploration of phonemes and allophones in English. This chapter also delves into phonemic rules and phonological rules that account for allophonic variations. During this lesson, we discuss contrast and on sound, position, and combinations, and then moves on to stress and intonation in English. This chapter also concludes with a discussion of English lip structure, which is intermediate level of linguistic structure between sounds and words. This is my overview. During this lesson, I will talk about phonemes, phonemic rules, phonological process, phonotactics, suprasegmental features, and syllable structure. Let's talk about phonemes. Now I will share my information about phonemes. Phonemes are defined by their ability to change the meaning of words when substitutes. Minimal pairs consist of words with the same sound except for one that changes the meaning are used to determine phonemes. For example, N, L, and T are all phonemes because they create word contrast as in nab, lab, and tab. Phonemes are unpredictable and occur depending on the word context rather than as a phonological rule. Uh, phonemes also Phonemes are also in parallel distribution because they occur in similar phonetic environments. Ideal writing system would be phonemic represent each phoneme with a unique symbol. Uh, Phonemes are debated to be psychological structure, abstractions, or classes of phonetically similar sounds that serve the same phonological functions. The concept of the phoneme encompasses the notion of the allophones, which is predictable variant of the phoneme. Allophone are sounds within a phoneme classes serving as the concrete realizations of the abstractions. Allophones are phonetically similar but not identical, and the choice between allophones is context dependent. Allophones are predictable and conditioned by phonemic environments. They have complementary distributions, meaning that where on one occurs and other doesn't. Phonemic rules. Phonemic rules are used to specify the predictable environments in which allophones of a particular phoneme occur. In here, various diacritic marks are introduced to represent phonological processes such as devoicing, aspiration, dentalization, labializations, and more. These marks provide as systematic ways of describing the allophonic variation of phonemes. Phonemic process. I'm sorry. A typical phonemic rule is expressed in the form of X, A, and Z. In this format, X signifies the phoneme. Y and Z represent its respective allophones and elsewhere encompasses all other environments not explicitly mentioned in the rule. These rules help phonologists outline the different phonemic contexts in which allophones of given a phoneme appear. Phonological process. It refers to general linguistic rules that dictate the change or variations in sounds within a language. This process often applies to classes of sounds that share specific phonemic rules. Example of these classes might include alveolar consonants, voiceless stops, front vowels, or lax vowels. Phonological processes are typically expressed through phonological rules, similar informal phonemic rules. These rules outline the regular transformations or alterations that occur to sounds within certain phonemic contexts, helping linguistics describe and analyze the phonological structure of a language. Many phonological rules even though they not at all are motivated by the desire to minimize articulatory effort, making speech production easier for the speaker. These motivations often leads to assimilations where adjacent sounds invert or speech become more similar to each other in terms of one or more phonemic rules. Assimilation simplifies articulation and helps with fluent and efficient speech production. Phonotactics. Phonotactics refer to language-specific constraints on the position and sequences of sounds in a language. These constraints include rules about where certain sounds can occur within words or syllables, such as word initial, medial, and final position. The discussion also considers factors like the occurrence of specific sounds in monosyllabic or polysyllabic words. This concept is essential for understanding the permissible sounds patterns and structure in a language, and it varies from one language to another. In English, the possible combination of consonant sound known as consonant cluster. These are quite flexible. English permits up to three consonants in an initial cluster and up to four consonants in a final cluster. This flexibility distinguishes English from many other languages and allowing for words with various consonant combinations like glove and spruce for initial cluster and words like bird, ants, and worlds for final clusters. Suprasegmental features. Suprasegmental features in speech refer to elements that go beyond individual speech sounds or segment, such as vowels and consonants. Two primary suprasegmental features are stress and intonations. Now I will talk about stress. Stress in English involves a noticeable increase in air pressure, greater activity of respiratory muscles, and sometimes higher pitch during the pronunciations of specific syllables. Stressed syllables are perceived longer, louder, and with higher pitch. Stress can affect the meaning and structure of words and phrases as well as their roles in morphology, syntax, and discourse. Stress levels are traditionally categorized into primary, secondary, and unstressed. For example, the word computations may have primary stress on the syllable ta and secondary stress on the syllable com. Now I will talk about intonations. Intonation, a significant suprasegmental feature of speech, involves patterns of pitch variations within a sentence. It is not related to the individual pitch of vowels or psychological pitch variations because vocal approach difference between genders. Instead, intonation introduces pitch patterns similar to the musical tones into sentences, contributing to the overall meaning and indicating sentences types like statements or questions. In writing, intonation is locally represented by punctuation marks. In Turkish, like soru işareti, virgül, nokta, ünlem, etc. These patterns go beyond simple grammar. They convey the speaker's attitude and their relationship with the listener, as well as various contextual informations. On the other hand, intonation varies significantly among different English dialects, distinguishing British from American or Canadian English, for instance. Interestingly, the musical intonation patterns in a singer's performance often override the distinctive intonations patterns the English language, making it challenging to deduce a singer's regional dialects. Traditionally, there are two fundamental intonation contours, falling intonations and rising intonations. Falling intonation is characterized by a drop in pitch towards the end of the utterance, indicating certainty or finality. In contrast, rising intonations features an increase in pitch towards the end of an utterance, conveying uncertainty or incompleteness. These intonation patterns play a crucial role in shaping the meaning and the interpretation of spoken language. Syllable structure. The syllable is an intermediate linguistic unit situated between individual sounds and meaning segments like words or affixes. It plays a significant role in the rhyme, in the rhythm and procedure of language. A syllable must contain a vowel or a syllabic consonant which serves as the acoustic peak uh, and can carry stress. Additionally, a syllable can have an onset and a coda, forming the rhyme. This syllable structure is vital for understanding speech patterns and the prosodic aspect of language. A syllable can have as many as three parts: onset, nucleus, and coda. The onset and the coda are consonants or consonant cluster that appear at the beginning and the end of the syllable respectively. The nucleus form the core of the syllable. It is most often vowel or combination of vowel, but there are exceptions to that. This is syllable structure. And thank you to listening to me. See you next week.